been up to?
Quite a bit. Haven't seen you guys since the Combine. Yeah, so lots happened since the Combine. Obviously, trade for the number 1 pick, signed a lot of free agents, got ready for the draft. So a lot of good, exciting things. And, I just want to thank Dave and Nicole for, supporting us and allowing us to go up to the number 1 pick, giving us the resources and free agency. That's been great. So really appreciate that. And want to acknowledge the pro scouts, Rob Hanrahan, Lee McNeil, Tyler Ramsey. Those guys do a ton of work during the year. So just want to acknowledge them, how good of a job they do. We always get to stand up here, but those are the guys doing all the work. So appreciate them. Appreciate the college scouts. So with that, getting ready to go out to pro days starting tomorrow. So any questions you have?
Can you take us through the process of you guys negotiating and getting that top pick?
Yeah, so that started at the Combine. Ryan Poles and I got together, and we talked to a few teams about, getting up somewhere in the draft where you can get a quarterback. And so Ryan is a guy I've known for a while. We met at the Combine, met in a hotel room the first time, met in the lobby of the stadium a couple times, and just talked about it. Hey, what would it take? What does it look like? And it was going to be expensive, and it was going to be expensive anywhere in those upper spots in the draft, just because, there's so many quarterbacks that are, in this draft, teams that need quarterbacks, and also the price of quarterbacks in free agency. I mean, these guys are getting $35, $40 million now. So, the demand for those rookies is going up. So what we wanted to do is stay with it. We continued to talk, Ryan and I. We came back to Charlotte, had several more conversations, went over about 3 or 4 days, just different scenarios, what would it take. And we found a spot that worked for both of us. They wanted a certain amount of compensation, certain things we didn't want to do, so we had to work through that. But we were able to get there and get the deal done.
So heading into the Combine, that was something that you guys knew that you wanted to do?
We wanted to put ourselves in a position to get a quarterback. And so those were the conversations that we had.
Did you expect to have to include a player in that compensation package?
You never want to, especially someone like DJ. You do your best not to, but the price of this, number 1 pick was too expensive to give up all these picks and everything else to get up there. So unfortunately, we had to give up DJ, who was a great member of our team. Did a tremendous job for us, great locker room guy. It hurt, but, we had to do what we had to do to get in this position.
Did you trade up because you had one quarterback you wanted?
We at the Combine said, if you're going to go up, you better have conviction. And we have conviction on players at that top that we feel good about.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into it, but we feel good about being in this position.
But Scott, when you have conviction on multiple players, how do you zone in when, the pick needs to be made? How does that process work for you guys?
Yeah, we're still going through the process right now. I mean, obviously we have our ideas. You're not going to make a move like that without having that pretty much cemented. But now we're going through the process of talking to the players and really getting to know them. You know them as players starting back a couple of years when your scouts start, watching these guys, evaluating them. We had a snapshot at the Combine where you get 18 minutes talking to them. But really, we want to get to know them, what drives them, who's supporting them, who's in their family. So this is an important time to go through this process. But we do feel good about the group up top.
How different is your off-season approach and everything you do now that you're 1 versus 9?
Yeah, I mean, it changes because it narrows down the field you're going to take. At 9, you have to be ready for every different scenario. I don't know if you guys seen those videos of, Matt and myself going through all these different things. You're sitting at 1. Now you get to decide who do you want. We have a lot of options up there, but you also take out the unknown factor, and you get to pick the player you choose or the player you want to choose.
Has a team reached out to move up and you guys moved down yet?
Not yet, no.
What are you looking for, from what Frank has told you, what he wants in a quarterback? What are you guys looking for with that top pick?
I mean, obviously, it comes down to leadership, guys that can process quickly, accuracy, someone who can run the team, get you in and out of plays. It's not just about making throws. It's about managing the game at the line of scrimmage. It's about doing all the little things right during the week. I mean, he has such a a great feel for the quarterback having played that position. Josh McCown having played that position. Jim Caldwell. I mean, we have all of these experts on our staff that we're going to rely on as we go through this process. And there's going to be a lot of tough conversations, a lot of good conversations, and we're going to take it all in and make the best decision.
And Frank has only coached rather tall quarterbacks. One in Alabama happens to be 5'10". How does that factor into what you guys are looking at?
You know what? He's never put that label out to me. He's like, hey, I need this, this, and this. He needs to be this tall. His hands need to be this big. He's never put that out to us. It's like, who plays the position the best? Who's going to give us the best opportunity to win?
Scott, speaking of quarterbacks, why did you sign Andy Dalton?
His leadership, just the expertise, the person that he is. He was a guy that was, had to play as a rookie, so he can help. If it's a rookie quarterback that is going to be playing, he can, share his experiences with him. Josh can share his experiences. Everything we've done is to basically support that position. We've added receivers, tight ends, running backs, all these positions to, put whoever that is, a quarterback, to give them the best opportunity for success. So that's what we've done.
Scott, I was going to follow up on that. The guys you've added, Sanders and Hurst, and now Phelan. How do you feel about where your offense is right now, and why do you feel like you really needed to address that? Because you brought in a lot of veteran skill guys.
Yeah, well, it started like when you lose DJ Moore. I mean, that hurts. So how do you replace that? And if you're going to go with a young quarterback, you have to have a running back. You have to have the tight end. You have to have the receivers. We feel like we have the offensive line. Brought back Bozeman. Kind of cemented that starting five. Bringing Justin McCray. Caden Mays is making his move. So we feel good about that. Everything we've done in the last couple of years is build the defense, build the offensive line, so when we get to that position, we can drop someone in. We're in that position right now. But what we wanted to do in free agency is surround that person and then go into the draft, not having to force anything. We don't want to have to take a certain position at 39 just to take that position. We want to take the best player available. So that's why we made these moves.
Got any concern about going to 3 years on Phelan, who's going to be 33 in
No,
August?
he actually wants to be here 3 years. That was part of the whole deal. He wants to be here through this process of building and winning. So that was important to him. Having him in the building, like when you watch his tape, the type of player he is, he's so much about technique and separation and route running that doesn't bother me as much. If he loses a step, it's not a biggest factor for a player with his style of play. If he was just a straight line burner, yeah, at 32, that makes a difference. A guy that's so savvy like that knows how to separate wasn't as big a factor. And then we also want his influence in the locker room. He's such a leader. We had him in the building last week. I was really impressed with the guy. There's so much command and respect that he's what our team needs right now.
You guys had Shark in too. Where did things stand
We
there?
got to let it play out. There's still talks, but we're going to let that one play out.
How are you balancing having the number one pick and everything that's associated with that, the rebuild or, starting anew, with getting guys to compete right now? Like, how is that sell job going?
We expect to win. We expect the young guys, no matter what age they are, to step up and play and perform. Everyone's going to be held accountable. If they're not up to the task, they probably won't be on the field. So I don't want guys looking at themselves as, hey, I'm a rookie, I'm a second-year guy, it's not my team yet. Step up and make a play. We expect that from them.
Scott, talking about Adams' leadership, there was some thought maybe he'd want to go somewhere with an established quarterback. Did you guys have conversations about, the strong possibility there would be a rookie quarterback, and how receptive, obviously, was he to that?
Yeah, what I can tell you is I had a conversation with him, but I know Frank sat down with him and our offensive staff, Thomas Brown, and laid out exactly what the vision for him is. And it wasn't just like a 5-minute passing, hey, want you here, you're going to catch some balls. It was a well-thought-out, meeting that they had. And, they found, like, this will work for both of us. This is good common ground. I can be successful here. I can help us win, and he can help us win. So it was a good give and take, and we're just really excited about the addition of him.
Scott, I know you don't like talking about contracts, and you guys have been pretty sensitive about the Shaq Thompson situation, but he did take a pay cut. What was that process like for you guys on both sides, and what does he mean to you guys, having been here for 3 years?
Yeah, Shaq is, he's a team leader, one of the most unselfish people I've been around, and he wanted to be here. It's important for him to be in Carolina. He loves Charlotte. He loves the Panthers, and what it came down to, we had a conversation. We sat down, in the stadium, and we just talked man to man. Said, "Hey, listen, what do you need? This is what we need." We worked through it. I know he slept on it. He called me back and said, "Hey, listen, this is what I'd like to do," and I can't thank him enough. I mean, it's such a team first move that he did, and a ton of respect for Shaq. And he wanted to be here, and we made it work.
You guys ever interested in Lamar?
Like anything, you always have a conversation, but we were looking. He's a great option. There's a really expensive option, but we're focused on more of the draft picks at this point.
Have you guys had talks with Brian Burns and his camp about extending him?
I just talked to Brian's agent, not so much about him, but that's something that we'll probably look at after the draft.
These past couple off seasons, you have reminded us that it's important to ask why these players are available when they do hit free agency. Mm-hmm. So for the playmakers you've added, Miles, Hayden, and Adam, I want to ask you why you think these guys were available.
Each team is different. Sometimes the player's available just because the team can't afford them. A good team like Cincinnati, you're going to lose players. You can't afford to bring everybody back. You're budgeting because your quarterback's coming up. There's so many different factors, and but to get people like Hayden and Von Bell and Miles, those are all winning teams, and they can all bring something to you. And so there's an opportunity to go get great players. It's not like, a lot of times guys become available because they're selfish or they're divas or something. That's not this group at all, and it's very important. Who do we bring into our locker room? What type of character do they have? And these are the guys that fit that.
Following up on Adam real quick, what role do you envision him playing here? Is he a slot guy? Is he a Z? Is he going to be out there in two receiver sets?
Well, then that's the unique thing about him. He can do both. He can play three spots for you. He's probably best in the slot, because of that instant separation, the route running. But he is interchangeable, and he's got the intelligence to move him around quickly.
You mentioned that Dalton played as a rookie. What's your sort of general theory on playing rookie quarterbacks? Is that something you try to avoid? Is it a great thing to just throw them into the fire?
That's a great question. It's as you go through the process, we'll rely on Frank and our coaches to know when is the right time. So we're not going to put it like a benchmark out that we're going to start him week 1 or he's not going to play at all this year. It's like when the time is right, when he's ready, when he's grasped the offense, and we can put him out there and he can have success. That's when he'll go out.
Do you feel like this roster and what you've done with all the veterans is set up for a rookie to succeed right away?
That was the intention behind a lot of what we did over the last few weeks, is to have to give those guys the weapons they need to be successful. Like I said, we like our offensive line. To bring in a Miles Sanders, not only is he a good runner, but he's a good receiver out of the backfield. So he's the outlet. Hayden Hurst going down the seam, great hands. It's a dimension that we're adding to our offense because Frank uses the tight end so much, and he's a player that they identified that they wanted. To have Adam Phelan, who can separate quickly, Terrace Marshall, who's on the come right now, Laviska, that's a really good group to surround a young quarterback with, and he's got playmakers now.
Scott, can you elaborate on Hayden Hurst a little bit and touch on what he brings off the field as well?
Yeah, obviously a lot of that stuff's well documented. Again, it comes back to who do we bring into the locker room. We want that leadership, that man that players can go to and talk to. There's a real sincerity to him. I don't know him very well yet. I talked to him the other day. All of our research and everything that we've done on him just points to the character and the man that he is and how strong he is.
Scott, how big was it for you guys to keep pick 39 in the deal, and how important is that?
Yeah, that was a real hang-up in there. We did not want to give up 39. That would have made life a lot easier. However, it's hard to go into the draft, when you don't have that number 9 pick, because you've traded up to 1. And then all of a sudden you have to wait till that second, this was 60, whatever it was, 61 or whatever it was. That's a long haul, and there's a lot of good players in there that are going. We saw 39 as a pick that we had to keep because that's a really good player for us moving forward. We're gonna get 4 or 5 good starting years out of that, and then maybe an extension beyond.
Scott, with Tuttle and Williams, what was it you saw in those two guys that made them the people you wanted to build that 3-man front around?
Yeah, obviously we're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and it's not a true 3-4, but those are the type of bodies that EJ and our defensive staff said, hey, these are guys that we know, these are guys that we want. They fit the mentality that we want, the physicality that we want. They're going to be gap and a half guys, going to be able to take on, hold. They fit exactly how our defense wanted to fit. So Shai and Deshaun, those are guys that they pointed out that they knew that they wanted.
So with that said, with a non-traditional 3-4, you have Shaq in the middle, you've re-signed him. Does he give you the flexibility to maybe go with a rookie as that other inside linebacker? And how does Frankie Luvu play?
Yeah, if Frankie can do that, and we'll probably move Frankie around inside and outside on that. We have some depth inside. And it's a position we may draft as well. So you can't fix it all in 1 year to get the all ideal pieces when you make that shift from 4-3 to 3-4, but we have pieces that can cover in there. And Frankie, because of his play style and violence and aggressiveness, he can really help us in there.
Obviously, you guys hired Frank to be the head coach, but the role that he plays in the offseason, like these conversations, not just a 5-minute passing conversation, a sit-down man-to-man layout preparation. He said he was so prepared for his interview. Like, how not only impressive you've been with that, but how key is that role to be able to do that as well?
Well, he's so clear with his vision and what he wants. And one thing, Frank's going to be very detailed during a conversation. He's not going to give you a 2-minute answer. He's going to give you a 10-minute answer. And he's going to answer a lot of questions along the way. He wants to paint the picture of, hey, this is what we're trying to build. He'll reiterate it and be like, hey, okay, I want this, this, and this. This is my vision for getting there. What do you think? And it's a very collaborative back and forth process. And it's been great. He's crystal clear on what he wants offensively, but he also defensively. And, it's been a fun process working with him. And, we talk about players all the time. He understands personnel. He understands, contracts, like we're talking about, hey, if we do X, Y, and Z, we can't do this. And he gets that part of it. A lot of coaches just want. And he gets that part.
What are the biggest things you could get out of the pro days? I mean, you've seen these guys, a lot of them at the combine, scouted them all year. What do you look for in the pro days?
I mean, besides the obvious, seeing how the ball jumps off their hand, how they move, how they interact with teammates, some of it will be like meetings the night before, or if we take them out to dinner the night before, talking to, it could be their equipment guy, it could be the head coach. It doesn't matter who it is. What do you think of this person? How does he treat people? Like, how does he carry himself every day? Are there ups and downs? Our scouts know a lot of that, but it's always good to hear that firsthand on these pro day circuits.
Is there a quarterback pro day in your past that you saw that changed kind of your opinion on a guy? Just by seeing him throw in person?
I don't know about change, maybe reinforce more than anything. Sometimes there could be a little bit of a red flag in there or something that you see, but for the most part, nothing dramatically that I've been through.
Will you be at all 4?
Yes. Yeah.
And, what other needs do you still have? You had mentioned to us a kind of over-the-top field stretching receiver.
Yeah, you could always go with a vertical guy. You can go with another. You can never have enough pass rushers, maybe a big D lineman. I mean, just because guys get hurt during the season, so you need those bodies. And then, we talked about inside linebacker. No team's ever perfect. Even, the teams that win the Super Bowl, like Kansas City this year, they're never perfect. Everybody has needs. It's just we're always going to keep an eye out and keep searching for whoever it may be.
Speaking of pro days, I mean, how do you evaluate what you see in pro day and what you see at the combine versus what you see in game tape?
I mean, game tape's what's most important because hopefully it's 2 or 3 years of production and, you'll see 1,000 plays on tape. That's really who the guy is. You get to the combine yeah, they run around. They're going to throw the ball great. No one's in front of them. No one's chasing them. It just kind of reinforces what you see at these pro days. But really, what it comes down to is what do they put out on tape.
What did you see on Russell Wilson for a short quarterback that made you believe he could succeed right away?
You know, one of the things that stood out, like when John Schneider first went there, like, you know, he comes back and goes, hey, Russell Wilson, I got this guy, and he loved him, and he had him up in the first round. But one thing about Russell, he never really got balls batted down in college, and he had that 6'5", 6'6" Wisconsin offensive line in front of him. But he was able to move in the pocket and slide and find these passing lanes, and he could rip it. Those are like those type of things that you look for in these quarterbacks.
What does the signing of Von Bell mean for Jeremy?
They're going to move him around a little bit in this defense. He'll be like the big nickel, maybe dime linebacker. You know, I don't know how much he's sat down with the coaches yet. It just gives us flexibility on the back end. You know, this is a league now where you're a nickel 75 to 80% of the time. So guys like Jeremy are going to be on the field, and he's a very valuable player for us, and we're excited about it.
Do you feel like you have assets on this roster that if you wanted to regain some draft picks, you possibly could?
I mean, you always evaluate your team that way. I can tell you right now, we're not looking to trade anyone at the moment, if that's what you're asking. But you're always constantly, you know, communicating, talking to teams, and evaluating. But we kind of like where we're at.
All right, we'll take this last one from Joe. We'll take one more from Steve Reed and Will.
Who would be your nickel right now?
Well, Jeremy would be the big nickel, and then the one thing about J.C. Horn, he could always slide inside, and you have C.J. and Dante on the outside, and you know C.J. could play inside. So, but probably J.C. and Jeremy at the moment.
Scott, you talked about the over-the-top receiver again, but I don't know. You look in free agency. I don't know if that guy's there. Do you say that's more likely to come through the draft right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll continue to evaluate that. I mean, there's always going to be someone that pops free, whether it's at the 53-man cut, you know, cap casualty at that point, might be in the draft. We're going to always continue to monitor that market, but we are looking for that vertical speed guy.
The signing of Bradley and bringing them back, what would that mean to you guys?
Oh, it's huge. To get a guy like that, a huge locker room guy, great in the community, big personality, but really good football player on top of it. I mean, we said going into the offseason he was a priority, and he was a priority, and we wanted to get him done. And we're so excited to get that guy back. He means so much to us as a team, not just the player, but the person.
Follow-up, have you seen someone that has ingratiated themselves with the community and
That
a team
quickly?
so quickly?
No. He's a unique guy, and that's why everybody loves him so much, and that's why he's a glue guy for us. He's a glue guy in the locker room, and he's great for the city, and he genuinely just enjoys life and enjoys people. Can't have enough of those guys around.
All right, thank you, Scott.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.